Hi everyone, I hope your week is going well and you're keeping well and staying safe. I've really enjoyed watching the words of encouragement that have been released so far, and I know that a lot of you have been really encouraged by them as well. These last few months have been so bizarre and unsettling and distressing and difficult in so many different ways for so many different people, and depending on your own personal situation and your own experience of life in lockdown and your own story. And one thing that I have noticed in my conversations with others and in what Kira, Kathy, Linda and Kathy all shared in their words of encouragement is a big and probably the biggest difficulty of the lockdown was that loss of community that we all experienced. And I think it has shown us how important community is, and we've had to rethink why it's important and why we need it. And Kathy touched upon it in her word of encouragement, that we are built for community. We're not actually made as human beings to go it alone, and we need people around us, and even the most introverted of us need to know that someone out there loves us and cares for us. And so I just wanted to share a passage of scripture that talks about community and how we do community as a church, and it's Hebrews chapter 10 verses 24 and 25. It's a well-known passage. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. A very important word in that passage is the little word consider. Let us consider. On the 23rd of March, as we all know, community as we knew it drastically changed. Nobody has ever experienced that kind of thing in our society ever before. So it was very difficult to consider how we do community, and that was obviously a big challenge for our church, both local and global. How do we honour this passage of not neglecting to meet together? And I think as we look back on this time years to come, I personally will be very proud of how the church rose to the challenge, and things that stood out in my mind are being able to listen to a sermon on Sunday mornings in my PJs with my cup of coffee, and to be encouraged in that way, to meet together on Zoom on Sunday evenings, and to feel the warmth of fellowship even just through that medium. The release of the UK and Irish Blessing song from praise teams across the country was just beautiful, and a wonderful way of worshipping and praising together. And personally for me, Tuesday nights was my favourite night of the week. I met with my home group on Zoom, and we studied a bit of the Bible together, prayed together, and just talked about how our week has been, how our day has been, usually long and slow, and for many of us, lonely. And so that was a great way of just connecting together and keeping that community strong and encouraging one another. Now that the restrictions have been lifted, we can go out and we can see people, but we're not where we were before the 23rd of March, and I don't think we ever will be again. We've changed and we've adapted, and we've changed how we do community, and in many ways for the better. But now that things are changing again, we have to consider again how we meet together. Do I wear a mask? How close can I get? Like, do we hug yet? No. Things are still strange, and we have to think about so many things in church. You know, parents of young children, can I come to church with my young kids? People aren't shielding anymore, but people still have underlying conditions. They're nervous about coming to church. How do we cater for all these different needs? And it can be so easy for us to say, this is more hassle than it's worth. I'll just stay inside. Thank you very much. And so that begs the question, why is this important? Why is it important for us to meet together? Why did we say at the start of the lockdown, we need to keep this up? We need to figure out how to use Zoom and keep in touch with each other. We need to start making phone calls to every member of the church, make sure they're okay. Why didn't we just say at the start, okay, church doors have closed, let's just leave it for a couple of months and I'll see you when the lockdown lifts? And according to this passage, I'll read it again. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. And I wanted to talk about encouragement, that part of the passage, and that's why we meet together. We enjoy meeting together for the crack and to catch up and to be sociable. And all of that is really important, and I'm a sociable person and I love that. But we do it as Christians to encourage one another. So what does that mean? It's more than just being sociable or having fellowship in the, Christian sense that we use it. It's more than giving a compliment on someone's hair or their outfit, although that is lovely. It's more than a pat on the back. It's actually messier than that. And it involves letting our barriers down with each other and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. And at the heart of it, encouragement amongst Christians is helping each other to look to Jesus, helping each other to fix our eyes on Jesus. Because I don't know about you, but with so much going on around me, my eyes keep slipping off Jesus, and I tend to worry rather than pray. I tend to complain rather than encourage, and my eyes keep slipping, and I forget that Jesus is there and he is present and he is with us. And I need to be built up and I need to be encouraged and reminded that my hope is in Jesus. And I think that's why it's so important that we meet together to encourage one another and keep our eyes fixed on the Lord. So many of us are hurt and burdened by the things that have happened in the last few months, things that a lot of us may not even know about that have happened to people in our congregation. And we need to be kind and compassionate, and we need to be gentle with each other, and we need to speak words of love and concern to one another. That's really, really important. But to encourage and to be encouragers, we need to do more than that. We need to do more than sympathise. We need to point one another to the ultimate sympathizer, the ultimate empathizer, because Jesus understands better than anybody. And our role as encouragers is actually quite simple: to encourage one another, look to Jesus, pray about it. The Lord cares, and he knows your every need. And I think that's what church is actually all about. It's not a social club, and it's not even just a community. It's a community founded and centered on Jesus and the love of Jesus. And what we do when we meet together is to remind each other that Jesus is alive, he cares, and that your relationship with Jesus is actually more important than anything else. So I would encourage you to think about who you can encourage and allow yourself to be encouraged as well in your walk with God. Let yourself be vulnerable with, a few people, and allow them to pray with you and over you and help you in your walk with God. If you have a Christian friend that you meet up with for coffee, that's great. Why not ask them to pray for you and ask them what you can pray for them? You can pray together, maybe read some scripture together. If you're not part of a home group, I would really encourage you to look into that, especially coming into the autumn. Home groups will be meeting in a different way, like everything else. But yeah, it's really important that you are encouraged as you encourage others. God calls us to be disciples and salt and light to the nations, to the people we work with, to people in our families. And we're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to do it together, to build each other up in faith and hope, and to love one another. So I pray that as a church we would seek to build each other up, looking to Jesus in everything. Thanks for listening.